the spoiler cast for the Star Wars: The Last Jedi. We couldn't really talk about the movie in detail without having spoilers. So, Matt, you gave the lowest score out of everyone on the review. What don't you like about the movie?
Leia floating in space.
Yeah, that was a problem.
Rey, who has lived in a desert her whole life, and then all of a sudden she can swim. New force powers.
Damn.
Skyping as part of the Jedi forces.
No. Hold on for a second. No, it's force dating. All right. So you swipe right, you swipe left. You swipe left, you get to talk to Kylo Ren. Like, hey, baby. It's like,
I have my shirt off.
let's be one with
Let
the
me
force.
walk around. Look at my scars.
Yeah. You scratch me, I'll scratch you back.
How is Snoke so powerful to go ahead and be able to detect or put fake thoughts that he was struggling with what he believed in or whatever it is? Like he felt confused. But yet, and mind you, she's like way all the way on the other side of the universe. But yet, you couldn't detect a lightsaber that's sitting right next to you on your right side move?
That can be explained.
So it turns out that basically Snoke was just really a big MacGuffin.
Yeah, my problem was who the fuck was Snoke? That's all I wanted to know.
He was part of the problem in Force Awakens. That's the problem. He was something that J.J. Abrams created. You had the Emperor and Darth Vader.
Right.
I've got Supreme Leader Snoke.
But that's my problem because I figured it didn't have to be a whole lot, but you had to give me something about this dude for why he's Supreme Leader and all this other crap. Not just Kylo and Rey show up and then Kylo kills him. I'm like, what? We don't know who this dude is. He had on his daggone evening gown on the throne. I mean, what the hell?
2 years. We waited. We know nothing.
There were so many theories floating around about who this dude is. And they literally gave us nothing. Man,
that's because they never had anything.
I knew that was going to happen.
That pissed me off. Packy, you remember me and you were going back. You were sending me videos. We were like, maybe it is.
It really doesn't make any difference now. So, I mean.
Right. But to me, that was one of the biggest missed moments that they could have done with this movie.
Half the people that I've talked to don't think he's really dead or whatever. I'm like, he's gone, man. Damn.
No, they made it clear.
Yeah. Yeah.
He serves no purpose now. What purpose would he serve to be alive?
What's the silver Captain Phase or what?
Phasma? Yeah, what was her purpose?
What was her purpose? She served none. I'm like, okay.
She's Boba Fett.
No, she is J.J. Abrams' bullshit, yo. Dude, Abrams did not know what to do with that character, yo.
No, that too. But the thing is, she's Boba Fett, meaning that a lot of people like her just for like her look.
Well, there's more people that are pointless in this movie. Maz Kanata.
Yeah.
Why are you in this movie in the first place? Just to tell somebody to go to a casino?
Benicio del Toro's character was a waste as well.
He had a purpose in the storyline.
I don't know if you guys watch Rebels or not. I was disappointed that he wasn't Ezra. Everybody just knew that he was Ezra Bridger. And I don't know what you think his purpose was. To me, that whole sequence served no purpose. In the end game, their mission, everything, it was not fruitful at all. It just got them caught.
They could just left that.
They could have cut that out. That literally could have been cut out the movie and we wouldn't have missed nothing.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean?
Right.
Like I said, the beginning of the movie and the end of the movie are the best parts of the movie. Everything in the middle is just Mad Max Fury Road and a heist film.
And the thing about Benicio del Toro's character, like Paki was saying, like he wasn't even needed because they didn't get the guy that had like the red flower or whatever the hell.
Right.
So they basically failed their mission regardless. So what was the point of him even being introduced?
So if he was not Ezra, he did not need to be in the movie. That's my point.
Exactly. It was just a null and void point.
A bigger point, like maybe in the next movie?
Never know.
All right, so now I agree that the whole Finn, Rose, BB-8, and Benicio del Toro's thing.
She did not need to have a large role, but go ahead.
That was a lot of stuff in there, but it was another portion of the story to kind of explain what the whole light and dark, the good and evil, that was kind of being toted by what's the difference between the First Order and the Resistance when they're getting the weapons from the same place and they're causing the same types of damage and death and destruction. And it's the same thing that Luke Skywalker was going on about, that Jedi was just as destructive as the Sith.
Yes.
That the two sides that they were talking about were all over the place. So it was like literally Rey was seeing that thing, and Luke Skywalker was explaining to Rey, like, hey, Force and all that stuff can go either way, but Luke Skywalker makes the point of the whole situation, where Yoda summed it up.
Mm-hmm.
It was all about people. And he fucked up by judging it based on the Force instead of judging it based on who his nephew was and addressing it that way. The same thing was being said for Finn's whole storyline. It didn't matter to any of them. It was light or dark. It doesn't matter. You all are still blowing shit up. And his whole character was literally just saying, there you go. You got this. It's done. You're all doing the same bad as everything else, and it kind of like backed away. Now, granted, they could have told that whole story in a much tighter or a much shorter method, and it didn't even serve a purpose because they didn't even get in there to help Ray out. So it was kind of like whatever. But in this case, I think they were just trying to get rid of Phasma. They needed to like set up this new empire and this new rebellion that's coming together, and also needed to set up Poe Dameron's mutiny and stuff. So,
all right. So let me step in for a second. Big question: how do people feel about the hook that Luke at some point was going to kill Ben Solo, Kylo Ren, because he felt that he was turning to the dark side, and that be the whole hook of the movie?
See, I like the prequels, so that was a similar hook because
Mace Windu and the Emperor, because he was about to straight up kill him.
Anakin Skywalker, they said you feel that you should have killed his ass immediately, and that would have solved all your problems.
Right.
And then Luke Skywalker said he only felt it for a moment. Crap. This is totally wrong. And then, but by the time he looked up, it was too late.
So, Packy.
On Rebels, the Grand Inquisitor used to be a temple guard, and he wanted to kill Ezra because he told Kanan, he said, yo, you need to take out your apprentice because basically the same thing. Disney has done this as well. This is twice now. If he figured he could save his father, why he didn't try to save his nephew? You know?
Right. Whatever he saw in Kylo Ren must have been really that bad for him to even contemplate.
Mm-hmm.
To even kill him like that. Like you said, I mean, he turned his father. Why couldn't he try to at least turn him? I mean, he's younger. He's a little bit more impressionable. It may have been a little bit easier, but he was just so frightened from whatever he saw. I mean, was there a point in this movie that I could have sworn I heard this? I wasn't quite sure that he said he basically detached himself from the Force.
Yeah, while he was living on the island. Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
He went there to die and he detached himself from the Force altogether.
Yeah. Okay, all right. So it just shows him, and of course, it's being flawed, and they're talking about the whole Skywalker bloodline and all this other stuff. They still didn't answer the question, where did Rey come from? I mean, I think I have an idea.
Yeah,
but
so that's my next question.
They did.
Kylo said that she came from nothing. Her parents were just.
That's my next question.
Yeah.
Do you believe that? And
no, that's what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
I don't believe that.
Why do you think she has to be important, though? Why do you think she has to come from something?
Because Star Wars dictates it.
No, I mean,
right.
Yeah, man.
She has to come from something. Why would she?
Everything Star Wars kind of connected somehow, some way.
Okay. So at the
People
very
do
end, the
just
last
not-
scene in the movie.
People don't come from nothing in Star Wars.
Vader did.
Yeah, I was saying, I thought Anakin kind of came from
Vader
nothing.
did.
Yeah, Vader was the only exception. Like he was in like kind of like Immaculate Conception.
I'm saying Obi-Wan Kenobi. What I'm saying is that, like, at the very end of the movie, the last scene in the movie, you've got the kid who was the one who opened the door and let Finn and Rose get away. You saw the little trick he did with the broom.
Yeah.
So he's clearly force sensitive, right?
Mhm.
Yeah.
So he doesn't come from anything. So does he have to have come from parents who were Jedi or someone dark and mysterious to be something in the future?
No, okay, I see what you're saying. What you're saying, you're correct. He doesn't have to come from
So
like
Rey
some
doesn't have
type
to
of
come from
Jedi
anyone.
lineage. But because no one knows it, and people know how Star Wars usually intertwines, especially with the characters, the main characters, people are going to automatically assume there's some type of lineage. She could have absolutely come from nothing. She could have just been like, drop her off, fuck her, and let's move about our life. And she just happened to be force powerful. I don't believe that.
But I think it's also how they set it up, because if you go back to The Force Awakens, and one of the things that Jay kind of brought up a couple times is how all of a sudden she just knew how to use the Force.
Mm-hmm.
No training, no nothing. That's kind of hard to believe that somebody could do all that and they came from nothing.
And use the way she used it?
Right, because Anakin, even as a boy, he didn't realize it. Obi-Wan sensed it and said, okay, wait a minute, I can feel it. We need to train him. And Yoda and them were like, nah, let's leave him alone.
Yeah, but we have all agreed that J.J. Abrams is a piece of shit storyteller.
Well, I think it's partially that. I also think it's partially that they're just plain lazy. And that if you make her somebody important, now you have to build the story around that whole history and everything.
You cannot make her lazy.
You summed up J.J. Abrams' writing like ability.
You can't make lazy storytelling in Star Wars.
You could have said what Snoke was, but you didn't, because if you do that, guess what? You got to write a whole backstory now to explain all this stuff. So the lazy thing was, let's not say who he is or nothing, kill him, and be done with it.
Abrams did. That's exactly what he did. That's what he's done in the past, and that is what he always does. He is a shitty storyteller. Basically says, I got to make Snoke amazingly powerful and the most frightening guy in the world. He gets a big giant hologram. He's got to have old content. He's got to be mysterious, because you know what? I don't know what the fuck he's doing. The thing about Rey, and I think this is what made me like her even better, was that her abilities are completely natural. We've all seen naturals as something, as sports, playing video games, whatever it is, someone who is a natural. They just pick it up and go with it. Or Rey, for her part, like going through all that stuff, Rian Johnson didn't even try to explain how Rey could do all that stuff. It was badly written, But now he brings it here, so now the question has to be asked: where does Ray come from? You don't come from jack shit. You're not special. The only thing you got going for you is that you're gifted with the Force. Now you can either come with me and be a G like me and try to be somebody, or you can keep following on behind that dried up Luke Skywalker and stuff. And that's basically what Kylo Ren did. So the reason why I like Kylo Ren, even Snoke's whole storyline was that Snoke played the two of them against each other throughout the entire thing just so he can kill Luke Skywalker. But Snoke fucked up because Luke Skywalker's like, I'm not a Jedi anymore. She's a new Jedi.
The only problem with that Rey thing, though, and it's probably the one thing that does bother me, though, is she does a lot of shit that ain't nobody show her how to do. Because Luke had to get trained by fucking Yoda in order to lift the ship. And she went and moved a bunch of rocks without no fucking training whatsoever.
Which made no damn sense.
Like, I knew what she was getting ready to do, but it was kind of like, come on, man. Luke ain't give you but 3 lessons, and he ain't teach you how to lift no ship enough. And you picking up rocks and shit? Like, come on.
And not just one rock, not just 2 rocks, multiple rocks at the same time. Multiple.
Oh, wait. Back up. Go back to The Empire Strikes Back. What was Yoda's lessons to Luke? Yoda wasn't teaching him how to lift rocks. Yoda was teaching him how to connect to the Force.
Telling him to lift the ship. And when Luke said, I can't, then Yoda said, do or do not, there is no trying. This is why you fail.
Hold on. He was trying to tell him that the ship was no different than the rock. He said, look at me, look at my size. It doesn't matter what it's in your mind. There's no difference. It's only different in your mind. That's what he was trying to tell him.
And on top of that, you have Anakin Skywalker getting trained by Qui-Gon Jinn and Obi-Wan. Luke being trained by Obi-Wan and Yoda. And she's getting nothing. And she's awesome. I'm like, I don't understand this.
You know what? Let me add to that, because when she fell in that dark side pit, and when those figures was coming toward the mirror, whatever it was, and they formed into one form, I swear to God, I thought it was going to be Palpatine that showed up right in front of her. And then I thought that's what it was going to be.
The whole Palpatine theory?
Her style she used in the last, you know, how he does that swipe next to his shoulder and then he, like that thrust or whatever it is. And she did the same thing. When the figure was coming to, I was like, I bet you this going to be Palpatine, but it was her.
To me, it's Jar Jar.
I mean, I'm just saying that I can understand that it's already established in that The Force Awakens, she can always use her Force to some degree. She can always do that stuff. And she's already got a connection to the Force. Like, I don't know if you guys read the books, some of the novels that came out, especially the ones that were centered around the Clone Wars. There was a couple of them that talked about how the Jedi think and stuff. And basically, they didn't think in terms of technique. I'm going to wrap whatever I do around the Force. It was basically instinct. Everything they did was by pure instinct. Their training was wrapped around. Yeah, it was all instinct. Mm-hmm. So her just going by pure instinct and doing stuff. What Luke was teaching her was giving 3 basic lessons on what it was. Not necessarily how to do it. It's basically how to control, when to use it, and use those abilities when she needs it. But the fine-tuned techniques and stuff, like the stuff Luke Skywalker was doing, a force projection, that type of stuff would be beyond it. But the basics of what she's doing, yeah, easy. It was clear that she needed more of that, the more advanced thing, that Snoke and Luke were the masters. They were using the more advanced
apparently
techniques.
Snoke is not as good as you think he is. All right, this question is the problem I have with the movie. How did everyone feel about Rose? Packy.
She was a waste. Say her and Finn and that whole, she really wasn't necessary in my opinion.
Mike.
The whole casino scene was basically just to build her up as a character. Yeah. That entire whole segment, that whole part of the movie was literally just to get everybody invested in Rose. Mm-hmm. And I literally could have done it entirely without her in the movie. It would have been perfectly fine.
Yeah.
Jay.
I agree. She didn't serve a purpose. She didn't have to be there. She could have just showed up, shocked him, and that would have been it. You didn't have to go along for the adventure. Stay your ass on the damn ship. There's no point in you being there.
Keith.
That was just pandering to the Chinese audience. It's not going to work, but that's what they did.
So I felt that she was one of the worst parts about this movie. And also that her character at the end of Force Awakens, Finn is in some coma-like state. She has to be in the same thing. Matt?
She was a worthless character, and you guys echoed it a million times in your mind, I'm pretty sure. I mean, the casino plot was pointless. Forced romance. She served no purpose, absolutely none. And what was she, mechanic? Was that what she was?
She was guarding the escape pods, and then she was in love with Finn by the end of the movie.
I don't know if she was in love with him. I think man was just hero worship. Shit, I refuse to believe that they fell in love within the first 20 minutes.
It's like, oh my God.
You saved the thing you love and gave this man a kiss. That's all I know.
Yeah, you're the Finn.
How did she learn how to fly that thing?
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. So next question. How does everyone feel about the major beat of the movie being a chase scene? Packy.
I hated that whole concept. The only thing I liked about it when the stand-in admiral turned around and hit the light speed.
Yes.
And cut. That
scene was freaking amazing.
That was worth the money.
That was cold as ice.
Yes.
But that whole chasing mess, that was some BS.
All right, Mike.
Yeah.
I agree. I mean, I thought it was stupid. Like Paggy said, that one shot right there is the shot I was talking about in the spoiler recast, where I said if I could have seen that in IMAX, it would have been perfect. That was badass.
Yeah, I saw it in IMAX. Yeah, it was dead quiet in that theater. Everybody was just like, oh.
That was tight, man.
It was fucking beautiful, man.
That was, woo. She started turning the ship around. I told my wife, I said, oh, she about to hit that light speed. Man, that was tight.
Yeah.
All right, Matt.
I thought it was tight too, although the one thing I will say is it was predictable. Mainly because all the pod ships were taking too many hits. They were going down. There's only one person left. Sacrifice, which in my opinion is one of the themes in Star Wars.
Yeah, but you didn't know it was going to look like that, though.
No, I said that the special effects for it I thought was pretty awesome, but I mean, come on. Y'all knew it was predictable.
I never saw it happen. It just looks so good in IMAX, man.
Mm-hmm.
Mike, go see it. Just go see that part, man.
I was saying, I'll go to see that in IMAX.
Keith?
I kind of saw what they were trying to do, kind of like this, make it more tensiony, but either they should have invested a little bit more into why they were doing such a thing. Like, I could have done without it. I definitely could have done without it. That could have been one of some of the few scenes they cut out and stuff, shorten it up and everything. But it kind of dragged on way too far. You never hear fuel being talked about in Star Wars previously, like maybe mentioned once before. So you don't really know the importance of fuel and how it's used and everything. Because you think in space and like all you got to do is cut your engines and just let it drift. I mean, you'd be all right. But it could have been something, some other menace or something like that. Or, you know, that ship was trying to pull on a tractor beam or something. I understand what they were trying to do, but I'm afraid the execution wasn't all that wrapped up to be. But again, I agree about that shot. The light speed battery ram was pretty damn epic.
So, like, that's the only benefit. So you come from flying Leia to
flying Leia.
I mean, it's like Superman being in space. And all of a sudden she flies. I'm like, what in the world is this? But
I can explain that.
Well, we'll talk about that. But I, again, just thought it was Mad Max. Same concept. But Mad Max did it better. So next question is, how do you feel about Luke dying? Or whatever is happening with his character? So, Packy.
Transcended into the Force, just like Obi-Wan, just like Yoda. I don't really have a problem with him transcending into the Force. I think that's how she ultimately is going to get trained, because he's going to come back to her Obi-Wan style. I knew something was wrong with that fight scene. We'll get into that. But I don't have a problem with him transcending into the Force.
Mike?
I honestly kind of had a feeling it was coming, but I figured it's going to be, like Packy said, it'd be the same thing like Yoda, like Obi-Wan, like Anakin, and everybody else at the end of all the old movies when George Lucas added him back in, his spirit will just come back and he'll train Rey, and you'll still see him in future movies. They did a little symbolism at the end with the sunset, same way it was on Tatooine when he got dropped off, and all the kind of tie back to the old movies. But I don't really have a problem with him being gone.
Jay.
I had a problem with it, but I didn't have a problem. I had a problem with it because I thought it was just a little bit too soon. Thought maybe he could probably die in the next one, but I don't know. I just feel it's a little bit too soon. But I understand why they did it, but I just still feel it was just a little bit too soon. They could have just waited slightly longer, just the next movie. Like, probably, I'm not going to say early on, but the first part of the movie anyway, and take him out then. But it just seemed like it's just too soon. It seems like it's still so much more. But Mike and Pocky was saying, he could be trained via Force Ghost, so that's all good. I still think it's still too soon.
Matt.
It's way too soon, especially his power that he had to be in another part of the universe, and then that's how he goes off in the puff of smoke. It didn't make any sense. Like, none.
I mean, it makes sense, but I will explain that later.
You know, I get it as far as the whole thing, like how the previous ones did it, but they could have done it another way. I knew he would have to die. Fine, I get it, but not like that.
Keith.
I agree with James. I more or less wanted him to be kind of go out the next movie or so. And what I was looking for, that very last scene of the movie, I was hoping that kind of see his projection there. If he'd died, if he'd been doing that force projection thing, like training or helping out other potential, I would have felt a lot better about it. And I understand what happened and everything, but a little too soon for me.
I don't know how I feel about it, but it's ballsy. So next question is, how do you feel about the overall ending? So that's the buried in the bunker, the battle sequence, the flying ships, the force projection, Rey lifting the rocks. Packy?
I want to get right to the force projection with Luke. Now, this is where I was most disappointed because in Legends, there was a novel called Dark Empire, I think, when he actually joined the dark side. And you always hear how powerful Grandmaster Luke was. But I wanted to see that. It's a scene in that book where he actually brings down a walker with the force. And I thought that's what was going to happen. But I knew something was wrong when I saw he had the blue lightsaber on. Before he even pulled it out, I said, that's not his green lightsaber.
I'm putting back what you said. I knew something was up too, but go ahead.
Yeah, that was my biggest disappointment. We didn't get to see exactly how powerful he was. As far as Rey moving the rocks, that didn't bother me. What does bother me about that is we're 2 movies in and she's still not trained. So we got to go through training in the last installment of the trilogy. That does bother me.
That's a good point.
Yeah.
I didn't think about that. That's a very good point.
Mike?
I knew something was up, mainly because Luke looked slightly different with the haircut, and the outfit was a different color, and I was like, all right, something's not right. And just kind of the way he was walking up, just something seemed kind of off about it. I did like the shot where Kylo got upset and said, I want all guns to fire on him. Comedy didn't bother me as much, but the one part that I thought was real funny that I did like, as corny as it was when Luke survived it and then he dusted his shoulders off. I thought that was
Yeah,
kind of
that was
funny.
fun.
I did laugh at that.
I did like that too.
Yeah.
I agree with Packy. I think they could have done more to show Luke's power. And I think that at that point, if you were going to kill him off, that he should have been there and that him and Kylo actually really did have a fight.
Yeah.
That would have been really big and epic for the movie. I left out the movie not necessarily liking Kylo Ren more, but I had a little bit more respect for him than I did out of the first one.
Mm-hmm. Big time.
The only problem that I do have, and I should have mentioned this earlier, was whoever's doing fight choreography for this is some of the worst lightsaber fighting I've ever seen in my life.
Don't get me started, please. Please.
Jay?
I knew something was up with the force projection because what Paki mentioned about the lightsaber, his appearance. Like, he basically appeared the same way that Ben remembered him from before.
Mm-hmm.
With short hair, and I guess that's the reason why he did that. And the other reason, he didn't leave a mark. When he was fighting, when his projection was moving, there was no marks on the sand. Every time something moved on the sand, it left a red mark. He never left a mark.
That's
it was
true.
just never there.
That's true.
At all. That's good. Congratulations. I'm glad they actually did the force properly this time compared to what they've done before. The rocks thing, it bothered me, but not too much. I thought maybe she would have tried and failed several times or something. But, I mean, it just happened. They still goosing her up, but whatever. But I enjoyed the movie.
Matt?
The rocks bothered me as there was no development of this character from going from point A to point B. As humans start running, of course, we have to crawl, we walk, and then we run. For her, it just seems like she just ran. So there wasn't any progression as far as her skill. And even if they're trying to sell that she's a natural, I get it, but she has to stumble somewhere. And there was no stumbling whatsoever. It's just like she just got up one morning, like, I'm just going to start wielding the lightsaber. I'm going to just start using the Force. I don't think that's how it works. My opinion, I don't think that's how it's supposed to work during Star Wars. Luke Skywalker, when he was in front of all those, what do they call those? Gorilla something?
Guerrilla walkers, yeah, the AT-ATs.
Yeah. When they started shooting him, I was like, oh, okay. I'm pretty sure he's going to live. They're not just going to kill him like that.
Mm-hmm.
And then I think Mike put it out there like, hey, when he dusts off his shoulder, I thought that was pretty funny. There would have been more character development or at least some connection to Kylo Ren if they actually did get in a fight, considering that Luke has all this experience behind him, that if they fought that, I thought that would have developed his character a little bit more rather than, oh, well, he's a hologram. All right. And then he just goes away. The end I didn't like too much. Not at all.
Keith?
The force projection, I was thinking everything else under the sun for Luke Skywalker to like survive all that stuff. Like force projection didn't even come into it, but the minute I saw when Kylo made that swipe, I was like, oh, then I could have sworn there was a story about that at some point or other, but I couldn't remember what it was. But I was impressed with it. I like that little twist on it. At this stage, we've already come past that she's whatever. So I don't think we're going to have a big training segment or anything like that. It'd be more or less like a mentoring of some type, how to use it or when to use it, as opposed to just exactly techniques and how to use it. So I didn't have that much of a problem with her abilities like in that regards. I agree about the comedic elements, even with Kylo Ren and they got Hux. The two of them, how they were playing off of one another, that actually has potential. I don't know if it'll be realized with Abrams, but that actually had a lot of potential. The two actors were doing pretty well playing off of one another for the most part.
I agree. I
can definitely see Hux like trying to one-up him, but then like this guy's crazy. This is some crazy little bastard. So I'm gonna take a moment here, plot my moves in silence, and everything. In the end, though, I mean, I agree about the doggone fight choreography. People who did the fight choreography for the prequels, they're not dead. They're still alive. The guy is still alive. He's still working as a stuntman in Hollywood. Why not just hire that guy? I don't know what was going on. That whole scene in Snook's audience chamber or whatever.
Yeah.
I was like, I'm like, it was.
Yeah.
I mean, it wasn't terrible. It's just not what I'm not.
No, it was terrible.
I'm used to like.
Bad. It was terrible.
Yeah.
No, it was terrible.
It was.
Keith, man, the routines that Mike and I had, man, it shat on that shit.
Yeah.
It shat on it. I mean, that was horrible.
I was just not happy.
Well, let me make a comment about the ending. The ending is basically an anime movie. So them shooting Luke and him just appearing unscathed is straight out of anime. And I expected him to go full lightsaber rampage mode. I was okay with it. Not okay with him dying, but I was okay with the majority of the ending, and also did not like Rose at any point.
I'm not sure what they're trying to go with. Fight choreography. I don't know why Abrams decided to go backwards with the fight choreography for Kylo Ren and stuff. It didn't make sense since now. There's no reason for it to be that bad, to be that poorly thought out. After the prequels, when he stepped it up a notch, that fight scene between Anakin and Obi-Wan, there's your template right there. I mean, every future lightsaber battle's got to be something like that. Story in its own right. But that's the big thing that they're missing again. Every time in the original trilogy told a separate story. The former apprentice and mentor going after the final time, and then Luke Skywalker versus Darth Vader the first time, and Empire Strikes Back. Kind of pull him and turn him to his own way of thinking. And as that's, I was fine with the ending and everything, but in my opinion, I thought the true ending was when you saw the little boy at the end, and he himself had the power. It's kind of like last ray of hope or something like that, and everything. And I don't know if that's going to trail into the next movie. That was something they threw in just for kind of this film itself.
Very Steven Spielbergish.
Didn't you say that this director got offered another set of trilogy?
Yeah, he's doing a whole new trilogy.
For some reason, I believe that they're going to have that young boy at the end. So maybe he's involved in it. Because he has nothing to do with Skywalker. The next trilogy is supposed to be Skywalker less. So no Skywalker, no nothing. A whole new trilogy.
Well,
so I'm assuming Jedi's going to exist.
Well, that's my next question. How does everyone feel about the legacy or the future of the Skywalker family?
It may not continue on in movies. Expanding universes, I think, is kind of dead now, unfortunately. Because, I mean, there's so much more with the Skywalker lineage that hasn't even been scratched on in the cinematic universe. I think they're still going to be around somewhere. They may get mentioned just in passing, but I don't think they're going to totally just get rid of it. But they may, because, you know, hey, they got rid of the Mandalorians, so you never know.
I think it's kind of done. I think they're going to tone it back. Honestly, there was really no reason for that, because if you look in terms of timeline, Star Wars has got, 20,000 years of history, timeline-wise, that they can pull from? And the Skywalkers, we're talking only, 30 to 50 years?
They seriously need an Old Republic movie. I'm dead serious.
There was a rumor at one point that the new trilogy might be focused on that, but Rian Johnson kind of already said that it has nothing to do with anything. Everything's going to be original. I think Disney's pretty much made it known at this point. They're done with the whole Skywalker thing. They're killing it once for all. It's over, and everybody needs to get over and move on. I think it's their attitude, and I think that's why the movie is kind of what it is, and they're just being lazy about everything. I think they're literally just fast-tracking to, let's get the 9th one done and get this over with so we can do whatever it is that we want to do.
Bingo. It's clear they ripped it down to build it back up in their own image. And I think as far as movie-wise, after Episode 9, if they did do the Old Republic, I thought Snoke might be linked to that. Clear that they emphasize that let the past die, kill it. They really mean that. So after 9, I think as far as Skywalker-wise, it's done.
So no one thinks that they're going to mention the Skywalkers just in passing. I mean, I think they're done as in, like, they're not going to create a character that's a Skywalker, but they may say the Skywalkers were the last blah, 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 and just in passing. So no one thinks that's going to happen at all.
They shouldn't bother. They shouldn't even bother with it anymore. They should be something completely different, another time, another place, completely different, and be done with it. That galaxy is big enough to do whatever. The only thing that you need in Star Wars is the technology, the Force, and good and evil. It's got to be a story about good and evil. It's got to have some mention of the Force, and that's about it. They can make it 20,000 years in the future or the past. It doesn't even have to involve Jedi versus Sith. They can call them something else if they want to.
I think it depends on what they decide to do with the old stories, like the Han Solo movie. If they decide to do an Obi-Wan Kenobi film or Boba Fett or any of those things, you might get a Skywalker mention in passing then. But I think the new trilogy, I think they're not going to have any kind of references at all to it.
As far as the anthology films go, I think they are pissing away a golden opportunity if they do not make a Boba Fett film. We've never really seen what Jabba and the Outer Rim and smugglers and bounty hunters. I know we're used to the Force and all that stuff, but I think if done right with the right director, a Boba Fett movie would be golden.
Do like Dread a little bit. Had like that dark vibe to it.
Oh, it had to be.
That whole area, the Outer Rim is just basically crime infested. It's been discussed. They're not gonna pull the trigger on it for some reason. I don't know what they're hesitant on.
That's
but Boba Fett is a gold mine.
That'd be ridiculous if they didn't.
I think they don't pull the trigger.
That's because he's a criminal.
Because, well, partially that, and I think they're just so focused on trying to get this whole new audience and new kids and all this other stuff invested in Star Wars that they don't see the point in doing it. If they were more focused on us, then we would actually get the movies that we want to see, and they do it and know that that's going to grab the new audience along with us and do the right decision. Because if they'd have done Boba Fett, which was originally what they had discussed, it was between Han Solo, Boba Fett, and Obi-Wan Kenobi, from what I understand. And Obi-Wan was actually the one they were leaning towards because Ewan McGregor came out and said he would do it. And then they ended up doing Han Solo for whatever reason. I don't know. You can keep your fingers crossed. That's all I can tell you. Deadpool's still going to be rated R, so maybe there's hope for something in the future for Boba Fett.
Well, they said they reopened production talks about it that I recently read that. So
start an online petition. They seem to pay attention to that kind of stuff.
I think I'll do that. You know me, bro.
Yeah, I'll sign it
ASAP. And my last question is, do you feel that Han Solo's death was pointless?
Now you think about it, yeah.
You know what? I do, because
he could have killed Leia.
Well, no, when Luke found out that Han was dead, it was no mourning period. It was no, that was my best. No, it was, he's dead.
Yeah, that was kind of like a passing moment.
Yeah.
It was like, Chewie, where's Han? Oh, he's dead, isn't he? That was it.
That's messed up. Ray, get off my island.
I came here to die. I ain't being bothered with you.
Yeah.
I got to go fishing and catch me some dinner.
Yeah, that was messed up.
Now, at one point, I did think at the end we might see Han Solo, because when Luke told Kylo Ren, if you kill me out of anger, I'll be with you always like your father is. So I thought we might get like a glimpse of him or something then, but that didn't happen. How did y'all feel about Kylo Ren and the whole Rey rule the galaxy with me by my side thing?
I didn't like that. One, this movie is taking a different direction, and then you had to go back to what's already been done. It's like Matt with the whole big planet shooting another planet, destroying another planet. It's like that's already been done. Like, come on, man. Like, no. That blew me. I didn't like that at all.
Well, the whole movie is a rehash because you still got ships that look like the same ships from the people that failed the first time. Like, why would you keep doing that? Make something new.
I was like, come on, man. You're taking this a good direction. And then you had to revert back to the same shit. But then if you think about it, it's Sith shit to do that. You gotta have ruler too. And then the apprentice ended up killing the master. So I guess that's kind of gonna happen always then. Join me. We could rule this world together. Then you're going to eventually try to kill me. So.
Me and you both, we could rule the galaxy. I've been talking to you from across.
I will admit that I actually end up liking Kylo Ren a lot better than what I did in Force Awakens.
Big time.
I don't understand this force dating. Why are you talking to me?
Yeah, that was awkward. I mean, I understood what was happening. All the stuff that happened that people think that can't happen actually can happen. That's one thing I liked about this movie. Like the force projection, things of that nature. I mean, that shit's powerful as fuck. Even with Leia, because Leia is also force sensitive. So she did enough to sustain her enough so they could open up the bridge, I guess. But, I mean, it is possible.
I think that might have been Luke saving her when she was flying.
No, I think that was
her.
I thought that was just her.
Like I said, she has the force too. Not as strong as Luke, though. Like I said, the force sustained her enough so they could open the bridge and get her.
You've seen it throughout the trilogy.
Right.
On Bespin, when he fell down, he calls out to her. She hears him. She goes back. Then at the end of Jedi, when Han is like, I'm sure he wasn't on that thing. She goes, he wasn't. So she had it. It just,
but she's not flying. She's not flying.
Well, no. I agree with that. I agree that flying was messed up. Maybe she could have sustained herself and they came and got her.
Yeah, that's what I'm talking about.
That would have been better.
Herself, yes.
That flying mess, yeah, I agree with that was some BS. Ain't no question.
Up and away.
She had like the Mary Poppins fly.
Basically.
I'm Mary Poppins, y'all.
I was going to say, can't remind me of Yondu. And Guardians, too.
But I know a lot of people was kind of like, man, what the fuck? I was like, hold on.
I actually halfway thought that she really was dead because she's passed in real life. And I was like, this is it. And
I thought so too.
That was their chance to, okay, this is how she goes up. But now she's alive, and how do you go forward with that?
How?
You know what I mean?
How's this going to happen? Unless they film some shit of her, and they're going to. I hope they don't do that CGI shit they did in Rogue One.
They could try to do that CGI thing, but I think they need to go in the next movie, just make it seem like she's behind the scenes leading the resistance, and we just don't see her and let it be.
Anyone got set up for the next movie, it was Poe Dameron. Because, I mean, Leia cracked him aside the head. It was like, we need leaders, not just trigger-happy pilots out there. Like, leaders, not heroes.
Do you feel like they set Poe up to be kind of like Han Solo's replacement?
Of course.
Not Han Solo's replacement, but more or less the more action-oriented, rolling up all of the original trilogy's fighter aces. Wedge Antilles, Han Solo, even Billy Dee when he was flying the Millennium Falcon in the last one. He's kind of rolled up into being that is the go-getting admiral, general, hero of the rebellion and stuff.
He's Captain Kirk.
Pretty much. Yeah, I'm gonna tell you right now. I thought John Boyega's Finn's character, I felt he was kind of wasted this movie.
Yeah, he was beaten.
He was like,
he was
like the running gag that he's cleaned all of the bases and stuff. But I figured he'd just be coming in and he's using his stormtrooper moves and being a bit of a badass at some point. But it was just kind of him just going from one place and running behind other people. I mean, he was a little more involved in this one. You know, he kind of came up with the whole plan and everything. But it felt like he was doing the same thing he did in the Abrams film. Really disappointed because
in this film, it was almost kind of like he was a token in a way. I mean, he almost really didn't serve no purpose.
Yeah.
I mean, he didn't really develop none. I mean, it's basically like continuation from Force Awakens, where it was, all right, why should I still be investing in this dude? Hell, he was trying to run again.
Yeah, sure. No, well, he was trying to go find Rey.
Yeah, but
yeah, what's the deal with that? Was more of a forced romance, but then it turned out not to be, and then I call a little jealous vibe. I'm like, what the fuck is going on there?
Yeah, because she kind of looked over at him when he's tucking in Rose at the end. He's like, what's the deal? She was like, who's it? Yeah, exactly.
And honestly, I think they did fix Rey Mary Soonest. Kylo did the lion's share of that work in the fight in Snoke's throne room. She was barely handling one or two of them, like what? And Kylo was whipping through and just shaking and bashing the hell out of him.
Well, I mean, Kylo should though. I mean, his skill level.
Even then, he was struggling. Don't give me, man.
Now that the lightsaber is destroyed, is she gonna turn that pike she has into a saber? Is she gonna have a double-sided saber, you know, like Darth Maul style or something like that? That'll be interesting to see, in my opinion. Just lightsaber-wise, you know.
James, there's one I wanted to ask you. I could have sworn I saw or read something. I saw in the comic book about Luke's little library, the books he had in there, that kind of wooden structure he was in. Mm-hmm. It kind of felt like I've seen something like that before.
That tree used to be outside of the Jedi Temple on Coruscant.
Yeah.
Oh.
One of the books was probably the Book of the Wheels. The Force priestesses, if y'all watch Clone Wars, those priestesses that were teaching Yoda, those are called the Wheels.
Yeah.
There's a book in there called the Book of the Wheels.
There we go. Did anyone else like the Yoda cameo? I almost rolled my eyes at it, but then he started dropping knowledge, and I'm like, he read the Eve stuff.
I liked it.
Yeah,
I liked it for simple fact because this dude is a fan, or he pays enough attention to Star Wars to actually feel like he gave a fuck to tell a good story, especially when it came to the Force. So, for some reason, I was hoping it would kind of be a mixture of practical and CG. Because he looked kind of bad.
CG for him. The puppet thing, I think it was like a throwback, kind of offered Oz and said, hey, man, you want to do this, but you can use a puppet too. So I was okay with it. Yoda tossing out the Force lightning was a neat little twist. And I'm like, flat out that it wasn't about just light and dark side of the Force. It was about your nephew and stuff. It was a person who went wrong. And like, all right, he's dropping some real fucking knowledge right here. So that's kind of when I got on board with the whole story. I really do wish that they showed Luke Skywalker being a little more of a badass.
Well, they want to make the Skywalkers irrelevant, so you don't show that. And that's the problem, just because Revenge of the Sith had good lightsaber sequences, and then
amazing lightsaber sequences.
Mm-hmm. It's like, I hate you!
I was like, you mentioned the high ground, boy. I thought somebody was going to say something about the high ground. I was like, oh, shit. Somebody's about to get cut up. Somebody's about to get fucked up, boy. Oh, God. If anything, man, this movie gets a plus for, like, making me give a shit about Kylo Ren. I'm like, I fucking hated that dude in that first movie.
Me too.
I'm like, he's worthless. Fuck you, Adam Driver. And he's a good actor. But now I saw this. I'm like, okay, I get it.
He was the biggest disappointment for me in The Force Awakens because he's the villain. You remember villain. But this one, yeah, he totally redeemed himself, in my opinion.
Then Snoke just kind of like dicked him. You look stupid with the helmet.
And even Snoke told him, he said, you got whooped by a girl with no training.
That was the best part of that movie. That's why I was like,
even Snoke told him.
That's why I told him, I said, that's when I was like, This movie kind of shit on The Force Awakens because it kind of was like, how the hell you lose?
Exactly.
How the hell you lose? The Force Awakens shouldn't even happen. Kylo Ren should have butchered both of them like they were fucking nothing. Nothing.
Yeah.
He should have been able to handle that whole room of the Imperial Guards by himself. And one thing that killed me about that damn fight scene, that pisses me off, not one of them used their fucking Force powers.
Mm-hmm.
Not one time.
Yeah.
Not one time.
Yeah.
They use it to grab a lightsaber. You telling me you can't do a force push or a pull? You're a Sith Lord, right? You can't throw a little bit of lightning out this bitch? Do something. Come on now.
Yeah.
And I never seen so many strikes that have been off balance. Man, do you realize if they would have... I need to calm down. Okay. That shit pisses me off. You're so off balance. You would have got hit in the face messing with one of us. I'm telling you right now. Ray gets an excuse, but Kylo Ren should not be that off balance for every strike. And just wailing. They really need to get the damn choreographers for the prequels. Because this shit's fucking ridiculous, man.
This definitely had more of a Marvel vibe to it. And so I'm thinking that there was some internal changes. Granted, the movie made a ton of money, but I think the criticism, like Disney seems to listen to a lot of criticism. I mean, granted, Star Wars fans bitch about everything, but still.
Well, if they want to listen, take J.J. Abrams off that next movie. Please.
Yeah.